Hi guys, welcome to Challenge to Champion. This is another episode. Today we are joined by Steve Sommerfeld and Rudolf Pretorius.
Yeah.
And you guys,
Wait, what did you just say?
Thank you very much.
what did you call me?
What did you call me? In what language and what did you call me?
You guys are fresh from the King of the Whip competition this weekend. Let's talk a bit about that. How was that?
I wouldn't say I'm fresh. Rudolph's probably a lot fresher than I. I was only there to talk, which I'm quite good at sometimes. No, but Rudolf was the man riding, so I think, how are you feeling, bud?
Yeah, I'm pretty beaten up. It's been a long week going into King of the Whip. The preparations and long drives and things caught up with me. But now it's just like a week of rest.
You think it was the preparation and long drive, not maybe the fall of the practice day?
That's definitely one of the biggest ones. It was so hot. It was literally like 37 degrees for the last 3 days coming here and going straight into King of the Whip. From practice to show, even the night session was quite hot and tense, but I think all of it played a role. And then now it's just like a dump of trying to relax and get out of it.
Yeah, and you were a rider in King of the Whip and Best Trick, and you are a FMX rider / enduro rider / trick rider. Actually, extreme sports athlete.
Yes.
We'll get a bit into all of your hobbies. I think we need quite a while to go through them. Steve, what brought you to King of the Whip and actually to South Africa? You're a foreigner. You're not from here.
Yeah, you can probably pick that up.
I don't think anyone would notice the accent.
No, you reckon they didn't get it? All right, well then I'll throw this one out there. Yeah, I am from Australia. It's not. I don't think it's the thickest accent anymore. And my mates tell me when I do go home that I sound like I've lived overseas for a bit. No, I've lived in Germany almost 10 years. I went there for 2 months, and I was going home. I was going back home every year. I was going home, but I just never got back home. I went home for a bit of a holiday, and then, oh yeah, we're going to stay. Oh no, we're going back. And then we're going to, 10 years goes by so fast. But why am I down here? Well, actually, the guys from King of the Whip, Ryan, he hit me up last year and asked me to come down and host the event. And I had heard of King of the Whip, and it was at a quarry, and I actually just saw it the other day. Like, it's next to Biker's Warehouse, one of the bike shops in Joburg, where Mark Pignol was setting his bike up. And they're like, oh yeah, well actually you can see where our first 2 events were. It's just over there. Okay, I had a look. And it's just this quarry in the middle of a residential area and a bike shop. Yeah, and I'm like, this is the weirdest place to set up a competition, but it looked awesome.
And normally it's like in a stadium or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think, I don't know the ins and outs of the story, but it ended up at Monte Cassino. And so I came out for the first time, it was at Monte Cassino last year, and it blew me away. I flew in from Europe, went straight to the venue, and I'm like, oh, I could have just driven to Italy. I didn't have to fly to South Africa to look at an Italian backdrop, but it looked fantastic. They built such a cool venue. The dirt came in. I think last year was 5,000 people that they were allowed to have, and it sold out. And this year they had another 1,000 or 1,500 extra until it was sold out. And I said to Ryan at the end, I'm like, man, you could still squeeze a couple more thousand here easily. But obviously there's workplace health and safety things that go involved. There's things that outside. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. But it was completely sold out. Unbelievable. It's such a good vibe. So yeah, that's why.
So you'd say a successful event.
Unbelievable event. Yeah, it looked great. The riding, even last year, when I came last year, I had 0 expectations. I didn't really know what to expect from it myself. I knew it was a whip competition, which is not very, you don't see that very often. It's quite unique. Like normally it's going to be a freestyle motocross competition, 1 ramp, 1 landing. So you're normally there to see backflips and tricks and letting go and all this sort of stuff. But this event was about the whip. And last year I think there was 30 riders, and I think it was something like 20 minimum were motocross riders. And most of them had never even hit a ramp until a few days before the event. And those guys were sending it. It blew me away. I was genuinely surprised at how good they were. And the level of riding then was awesome. This year was even better. Like everybody then you could tell the guys who were there last year, they came back and they were in the hunt. They wanted to win. They wanted to take down Julian Van Stippen, X Games gold medalist, the winner from last year. So the local South African riders, the racers, the freestylers, they were coming in.
Stepping up.
Everybody stepped up. This year was awesome.
What do you think? I mean, you have mentioned that a bit, but the talent in South Africa, I understand we're a bit behind America, and most of those guys are just insane. They're pushing the limits so far, so fast. I mean, with triple backflips, front flips, bike flips.
Yeah, I mean, in freestyle motocross, yeah, a little bit. In the whip competition this weekend, no. You've got world-class riders here in that competition we just saw, like Jesse, Dallin, Dalton. There was a 13-year-old kid on a KTM 85 who sent it, and he looked better than I probably looked ever on it. I'm like, God damn, you guys have got some talent around here. So in the best whip comp, I think you guys have got a lot. It appears that motocross seems to be pretty damn big here, or at least those guys have got some skills, and they sent it. For freestyle motocross, yeah, like I might be a little bit biased here, but the results kind of speak for themselves. The Australians are pretty much on top in freestyle motocross. You've got Jack O'Sheeny, Harry Binknell, like you said, with the triple backflip, J.O. Archer with the triple backflip. Sheeny was the first one to do the damn thing. So the Aussies are more about freestyle. The Americans started it. Like you still got Adam Jones, who was going for it. Colby Gorge, there's like this new kid over there. He's just sending it as well. There's a lot of Euros, and I think with South Africa, it looks like the racing is much more like the focus, or free riding, and freestyle is just a little bit behind, but it won't take much. Like, it just takes a couple of guys to really step it up. You had Nick DeWitt. You had Brendan Potter, who was a judge this weekend as well at the event. Like, Nick DeWitt's now living on the Gold Coast. Like, he's about an hour down the road from where I used to live. But, like, I remember meeting Nick, and he's one of the nicest guys in the world. But he retired, unfortunately. I've retired, unfortunately. So, you know, the older guys are disappearing a bit, but just need to bring some new blood through. And you've got all the right ingredients here. So it won't take much.
I think we're gonna go a bit into your history now with the sport and so on. But what do you think about the fact that, like, Rudolf Pretorius, or he's known to me as Biscuit?
But yeah, I saw Biscuit on his graphics kit. I'm like, is that Limp Biscuit? Or I didn't say. Okay, first things first. Where did Biscuit come from?
Yeah, so that's actually when I went to hostel in Ermelo. That time I used to ride skateboard, and one of the seniors thought, no, like, Biscuit sounds like a cool name that suits the skateboarding for some reason. And yeah, weird enough, in primary school it was bread, like bread. And came to high school and I got this nickname Biscuit.
Yeah, right.
And since there, it just stuck all the way through.
Yeah.
But you've been running with it. I mean, you have it tattooed on yourself?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
it's become like a part of me. It's like my sports action side, where it will be more like the Biscuit one, and then it's like the image out there, and then Rudolf Pretorius is more the business meeting side, you know,
He's chill.
The more serious side. Yeah.
Biscuit is the stunt man. It's his body double for doing the stunts.
Yes, exactly.
But what I think is really interesting about the South African extreme sports guys, this is far from his main thing.
Yeah.
But Biscuit, maybe you can just tell us, because you're doing this far along on the side. You're actually a businessman, and I think an extreme sports athlete. You're doing paragliding, surfing, fishing, motorbiking, 4x4ing, rallying. You literally have your finger in all of them. How are you managing this while also having a full-time job and being a businessman?
Yeah, Larry, that's actually quite interesting. It's I think a big part of it is that sticks to me is like to try and live life to the fullest. I mean, I think that's an important part that I've seen growing up from other people, the people around me. Is like sometimes you realize that you're missing the point of living an actual life. You get so stuck in the real world. So people call them from a 7 to 5 that you actually past the point of having fun. And for me, I've always enjoyed the fact of having that rush. Doing that something that gives you that you mustn't do it. And I've got that thing in me where someone is like, you won't make it work, and I'll be like, I'll show you I can make it work. And well, fortunately, rally and bikes and all these other crazy things are those things that everyone's like, you can't keep doing it because you have to get a real job or you have to do that. In the meantime, in the back of it, it's there. To manage it, I don't really have a right answer. I think it keeps me prepared in a sense of planning certain things in certain ways where I can like put my attention span to certain divisions throughout the day. Wake up maybe earlier, run through emails. When I go to gym, I try to focus on being an athlete for that hour. When I go to the sauna, I try to meditate a little bit, going visualization through my freestyle runs or whatever for that section might be. Like now, the last 3 months, King of the Whip was flat out. And I had so much support doing it. For the first time in my life, I actually felt like doing something, having all that support coming on board with Steph and all the people around me. And I was so focused on that, but still I had a little bit of business to make sure everything was running. And even the people in the business have supported me so much. It's given me the opportunity to keep on doing what I'm doing. And where now it's like, it's done. It's like a little bit of rest, and now I can focus a bit more on some other things. So yeah, it's hard to say that. I think in a sense also came to realize that there's certain things I have to be more focused on, and other things is more like fun. You see friends doing things and like I want to try that, and some of them stick, like surfing I suck at. It's really one of the things I can't really do, but I'll every go now and then and surf the foam just because it's fun, and it's more a mental thing as well to go do it. Like paragliding is a hobby, but it's one of the sports that I use as a mental thing. Like paragliding and golf will be, I'll go do it for a certain amount of time to get my focus span in that zone. Especially when we go fly cross country, it's so hard to fly things that you can't see. So you basically have to do something that you can't see. You only feel it. You feel it through the wind. And I feel those gives me a little bit of advantage in developing certain physical and mental skills. And that's why I use those type of sports to go always linked to freestyle, which is actually the thing that I'm trying to pursue as a main sport at this stage.
As the main base of your extreme sports career.
Yes, all the other thing. I mean, surfing is one of the things which I try to go into cold water for a certain amount of time, and getting the the fitness out of it, the benefit of swimming a bit, because everyone is like, you have to swim, but I don't really like swimming. But now I like compare that to getting a surfboard. You're like a little bit out in sea and you're lying there alone, your phone is in the car, no one can get hold of you, you're just chilling on the board.
Peaceful.
Yeah, so that's one of the things why I like to go do that. Same with fishing. I mean, I like to go to the beach. I'll go early mornings, take a jug of coffee, and I'll sit on the beach and see the sun come up. It's not about catching fish really, it's about having that free time, just mentally hearing nothing but the ocean. The same at night, you'll see the sunset going, and I'll sit there for an hour or two, and I feel it's more like a mental prep than actually a hobby. Although it's lucky, right? If you catch something that's extra bonus, it's fun.
Yeah, you got dinner.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's more where all comes in. But obviously then on the business side, I had to create a business where I can have the lifestyle to do all of these type of things. And where I come from, I started riding so late in my life that I had to make something to get to this point where I can actually pursue the real dream. I never had the opportunity to fall into this dream. I had to create it or build it.
You had to be successful in business first to be able to finance all of these hobbies. And
I think that's a very difficult thing that a lot of people don't really understand, because my whole life I saw it as wasting my time. And for the first time in my life, it actually feels like the things are coming together now. It's like I feel good riding. I physically feel good riding. I mean, after the crash I had on Thursday before King of the Whip, I really don't know how I actually just got up. But if you go back to like the preparations I've done to get there, it all helped. And I know physically it was there. I mean, there was a lot of emotional things that played a role in coming to King of the Whip and doing it physically, and that kept me there. And that's why now after that you feel like it's done. It's like a lack of feeling. Although you're very beaten up, but now I can rest for a bit and come back. So yeah, that's also
That's really cool. Steve, I want to ask you, you're dealing with a lot of professional athletes, and I think growing up, people doing those type of sports, they were mostly like rebels.
Yeah.
People doing wrong things, smoking, swearing, doing all of the wrong things. And hearing Biscuit speak about like his routine and meditating and fasting and training and all of those things, is that something that you've seen increased in these professional athletes where they really take it seriously?
Yeah, massively. Like, I watched the first Terraformers and the first Crusties. That's why I wanted to get into freestyle motocross. I wanted to race, but we had a dairy farm and cows need to get milked morning and night, and there's no time to leave the farm. So I just started building jumps at home. So I'm not like the typical guy who came into free riding, freestyle. I had no skills. I just watched videos and wanted to do it. But then you got guys that come from like a BMX background, so they're also not moto or whatever it is. But coming from a farm, going through years of drought, and then you get flooded, and then it's another drought, and all this sort of rot. Listening to Rudolf now, I'm actually hearing a lot of myself in what he said. Like my old man said, just go and get an education, get off the farm. You're not gonna make money on the farm. So I went to university and I did my 6.5 years down in Brisbane, and I did all that. So I had a base, and I was probably in my last semester of university. It was the first time I did my first international show. I've been asked to go do a few others, and I didn't have a passport. I didn't want to go anywhere. Like, I was just a country bumpkin, and my missus dragged me to go get my passport to go to the show in China. And I went over there and I did it and just loved it. And by the time I got home, I was so lucky. Like, Cam Sinclair, like he was one of the first guys to do a double backflip, and to do it consistently everywhere he went. His brother was the manager of Fox. And I got home from China maybe within a week. Like, I just bought a brand new pair of Tech 10s. Like, I had the crappiest gear. I'm a tight ass. Like, I had the worst stuff. And I got home from China within about a week. Mick hit me up and he's like, oh, we want to hook you up with some Fox gear head to toe. And I was like, oh, that's a good joke. Like, I thought he was dead set joking. He's like, no. And it was funny, like, that one sponsorship changed my outlook on what I was doing. Like, I was just having a bit of fun, and I was
Did
trying
you
to
realise this is something?
Yeah, and I it's not that I needed the outside opinion of somebody else to say that what I'm doing is good, but it was like, oh, hang on, well, if they're investing in me, well, maybe there is something that could be done here. And then I really started to knuckle down. And so that last semester of university, I think I only turned up for six weeks out of 13 or something. I got my best marks. I didn't care. Like, I was so over it. Finished that business degree, but I knew it was in the background. And then
It's just a safety boat.
It was the safety boat. And I know a lot of people say, no, don't have plan B, just go hard at plan A. I'm like, no, I've seen plan Bs and Cs and everything on the farm. Like, when you got no water and you can't feed the cows, or like, I didn't even think this was a thing. Like, I wanted to have a bath, jump in the tub. And the first time I said to my missus, I'm like, oh, do you want me to leave the water in? She's like, leave the water in for what? I'm like, well, do you want to have a tub? She's like, no, that's disgusting. You've been sitting in there. No way. Let the water go and I'll have a tub. I didn't even realise that was
privilege.
Yeah, I was like, no, we only had a tub when it rained. Like, the tanks were full. All right, you can have a tub now. Okay, cool. Like, so I always had that in the back of my mind. I always needed a plan B, and then I was fine. And then, kind of got into freestyle, and then off it kind of went. And then one of my best mates, he's a musician, and he said to me, he's like, well, why don't you use that degree? Well, one of them. So why don't you use that business degree? Go and just do something with it. Like, no, I've got it in the background. I just want to ride freestyle. I just want to see where it goes. And I gave myself a year and picked up a few shows, and I did every competition that came along. And then I just started using the business degree. And what you're saying there, like I built my own business. In the end, I managed to convince my wife to quit a pretty good job with the free car and phone and all that sort of stuff, and managed to convince her to quit her job and work with me. And I was like, I can't pay you anything, but we're gonna have a good time. And here we are. So it's, in the end, from that, where she sent me off to get a passport to go to a show, I didn't want to leave Australia. I just kept saying no. And then when I said yes, all these cool things started evolving and happening. And then, changing your outlook or the way you approach something, it was major for me.
So are you still riding or only emceeing the shows?
No, so I had a big crash 6 years ago. So
tell us a bit about that.
It's a very long story. I'll make it very short. I went for a seat grab flip. I was tired. It was on like the 8th day of shows, and I just made a really small mistake and missed the grab, upside down, crashed, and long story short, after a few trips to the hospital, they finally found I broke my back. A couple of months later, then we realised, I couldn't walk. I'd also broken my hip, and because I walked so long, I destroyed the joint. After 5 years, I was just in constant, every second agony. I didn't do much. Like I kind of just stayed inside and got very good at playing ball at tanks. And then I got my hip replaced March last year, and finally I don't have that hip pain, and now I'm remembering the ankle pain. It's like, oh, that's right, I forgot the rest of the body hurts. Oh yeah, bloody hell. No, so that was the last jump I had, unfortunately.
2016, 2017.
2017, November 24, 2017. It was my wife's birthday, and she was in England actually with her family in another part, and I was over in Birmingham. And she didn't have any, like, there's really bad internet over there, so she didn't get my message or something. I just sent her a picture, like I was strapped into the thing. They strapped the neck and everything, and I just sent the picture, like, smiling with the thumbs up. But she didn't see all of that, and she got a bit nervous, and it was a bit nervous. Like, I knew I was okay. Like, I did get up. After 5 minutes, I got up off the ground, and I did that check, which I'm sure you've done, and I was like, okay, I got lucky again because I've done it before. But this time I knew straight away. I knew the pain. I'm like, okay, I think I know what's. I just said to him, like, something's wrong. I don't know what it is, but something's not right here. And but I knew I was okay, so I got up and I walked it off. And then when the adrenaline wore off, then I was back down on the ground. So.
And was that when you decided, listen, I probably should call it?
No, absolutely not. No, I was. It wasn't even a thought. I was coming back. I was coming back. But the issue I found was, because we didn't realise what I'd done until months later, I'd done the damage, and then a couple other surgeons in Germany were like, no, well, you're going to get a hip replacement now. I'm like, what? Like, I've been walking. Not great, I couldn't walk really, but I'm like, I've been moving about. So I'm like, if it's broken, just screw it back in, or surely it can't be that bad. And I'm like, oh no, it's pretty bad. Ended up with a really good surgeon, and he gave me a bit of an experimental surgery. He's like, this will get you a few years, but you will be back for a replacement. Okay, so we tried it out. And you know when a doctor says whatever they're going to say, you're like, no, and prove you wrong. Like, if I listened to the first doctors, I wouldn't have ridden freestyle motocross. So I had that attitude, and it took me a year to kind of learn to walk again. And I don't know, I can't really pinpoint when it was. It might have been like the first year I was dead set, I'm gonna ride. It's just taken longer. It's just taken longer than I thought. And then after a year and a half, maybe two, I'm like, oh, I don't think this is working. Like I just couldn't move, and it just hurt so much. And I never thought, like I can handle pain. Like we all, if we're doing this, if you're riding motorbikes, you've got to deal with pain. And I'm like, I can handle it. And then I realised I couldn't. And then it became a slippery slope. And then that's when I decided, okay, I'm doing nothing. Like I'm just sitting inside doing nothing. And other things are going to go worse. Like my body's going to deteriorate, or other joints are going to go because I'm not walking properly. Give me the damn hip replacement. So that's why I did it. So yeah, I was going to ride. There was no stopping it, but it took like 5 or 6 years to realise that was. The retirement came. I never announced it. I didn't mean to, but I was like, oh, I'm riding. Oh wait, no, I'm not.
Yeah, I think longevity with sports like these, it's the same with rugby or football or any of those. I mean, it's serious contact sports. Your body gets damaged. I think, Rudolf, you have quite a few injuries yourself. I think your worst recent one was both of your wrists.
Yes, well, I was actually now the 24th of September a year ago. It was just before King of the Whip, actually practicing for King of the Whip. I would say that's probably one of the worst injuries that I've had. Scariest ones as well. I wasn't that lucky. Most of the stuff I started out doing, excuse me, was of like experimental on these things. We had a ramp and we had a landing and never knew anything about suspension, and we were just like sending it off. I didn't even, the first time I jumped still, I don't even know you have to do it in second, and I hit it to 18 in third and over jumped behind my knee. No suspension. That was my first big injury. And then also I had the same, it was ligaments, they set, and 6 weeks later I was like, oh, I can't climb stairs. Supposed to do better. Let's do the op, and then I went for a ligament replacement, and they found out that I actually broke one piece of my knee off, but the bone was like gone. It was like grinded off, and they had to do a bone transplant, and that was the week later, and from there on it went very AWOL. Now sitting here, it's 8 knee surgeries later. It's 2 ankles and 3 wrists now. And a lot of bruising.
It sounds like you're speaking about a couple of guys, or 4 guys maybe, with all these surgeries.
Yeah, unfortunately, sports quite brutal. I think it's not just me. I think everyone that's there has been through a very big fair share of that. And I also think it plays a very big mental part in sport. It's like, are you going to stop? Are you forced to stop? It's also a big thing in the sport, and it's hard. I think it's hard. Because like a year ago, I was like, I'm going to call it. Literally when I hurt my knee, the last time it was 8 months before I broke my wrist. I did a ACL and IPL. MCL, yes. Some of both at the same time. And went in for surgery, came back and I was like, I don't know if I should do this anymore. Like, is it really worth all of this? And for some reason, it just felt like everything is starting to happen now. The park started coming into play. There was like not sponsorships, more supportive deals came to the table. I was like, yeah, I can't give up now. Yes. And then I went back, and King of the Whip came up, and we got a couple of shows we did in boards. I was like, hey, I need to push a little bit harder. And then I pushed a little bit harder, maybe too hard. And I had an accident trying to flip, and I broke my wrist, and I was like, oh, what now? And then I was like, no ways, I'm going to get out of this, I'm going to regroup, get everything back together, and then give it one full shot for the next 5 years. And now I'm sitting here all in one piece after a year, did King of the Whip, so feeling way better.
How old are you?
33.
Oh, okay, you're 33. I was going to say, because like I noticed when I was riding, like in my 20s I was up and down. Once I hit 30, I didn't want to crash anymore. I'm like, I've got to be smarter about this.
It's not fun anymore.
Yeah, and then, like, I don't know, maybe it was just the experience, but then I can look back on every year, it's just better and better and better every year. Like, okay, that's that, boom, 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 and stop crashing, and yeah, way more fun.
Yeah.
Like, if you had 8 knee surgeries, screw that.
Do you think like someone like Rudolf is maybe he has a bit too much motivation and determination for his own good?
Some guys can do that, like, but if you don't have it, then
You won't make it.
you're not going to get any. Not that you're not going to get anywhere, but you're going to get bored quickly too. So I probably had a little bit too much motivation for my skill level at a fair few points in time.
I think
But-
someone would maybe call this type of sport like self-sabotage of your body, because
It is.
you know the amount of risk that goes into it. I didn't sign a clause saying if I fall and break my back now I would be fine with it,
Yeah.
but I knew there's a big amount of risk to it, but I was still saying I want to do it.
Yeah.
By the way.
That's the thing, that if you don't do it, you will never ever understand, I don't think, the mentality, because I don't want any of these things to happen. I don't want to see my buddies on the ground. I don't want to see any of that happening. Unfortunately, it is part of the game. I don't know what drew us to do it. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but like, I didn't sign the contract, like you said, for these things to happen, but you know, and if you don't know what's going to happen, then you're really in trouble. Like, when you see guys who are way too overconfident and don't think it's going to happen, that's what actually scares me. I'd rather know, okay, things can go wrong, I'm going to plan as much as I can to avoid it, but when it does happen, it happens. Like, I don't know, you guys have probably lost buddies, and like I know I have, and it's tough. Like, and then you sit back and go, was it really worth it? But I'm still gonna get on my bike tomorrow.
Yeah,
So
probably.
it's like it's so weird.
At least now you don't have to deal with not knowing or not trying.
Yeah.
Because I think that regret would haunt you the rest of your life if you know you didn't give it a good shot. I mean, you, Rudolf, would probably think, if I only pushed through that year in 2023, I would have made it, my life would have looked totally different, I would have been living this other life.
Yes, definitely. Steve mentioned it earlier as well. It's definitely, I think, where I am now, knowing what I know now in the sport, I would have done it different 10 years ago. But would I really have done it different if I really knew it back then? Or did that last 10 years give me the experience to be at a certain level or make the certain decisions I'm making now going forward? Obviously, everything is way more calculated at this stage, and I don't think a lot of people actually realize how much preparation is going in there. I think a lot of people see the good part of the sport and they associate it with the bad part of the sport, but obviously we don't plan to do a crash, but we do prepare for the day we're going to crash, or try to be prepared as much. I think Harry Bink's a very big or very good example of that. It's like, physically, mentally, you have to push yourself to a level where you can accept the fact that if something happens, how are you going to handle it and what are you going to do, and to eliminate the risk factor of the sport. And the risk we're never going to eliminate fully, but we can make a decision to make it maybe a little bit less. There's also sometimes, I don't know if we'll always do it, but we have to weigh up risk versus reward in certain aspects of the sport. And
Yeah, what's there to gain and what's there to lose.
yeah, it's the same with the paragliding. I think that's a big thing I've learned there. It's like, we've got a saying in paragliding, it's like, I'd rather be on the ground wishing I was in the sky than in the sky wishing I was on the ground. If you're up there and there's strong winds coming up and you can't come down, it's a pretty scary experience.
I hope you have
There's
your
so much
passport
that can
with
go
you.
wrong there. Yeah.
What are you going to land in Zimbabwe?
Well, yeah, you don't know where you might end up. But when you're on the ground, you rather wish you were up there, but you know.
It's a better regret to
Yeah.
have.
Yes. So that's also a very big point that you got to weigh out, and I think mentally it prepares you for that. And I'd like to transfer most of those experiences to where I'm now, and for me it's nice. It's like a big learning curve, because I would like to transfer this experience that I've had out of learning myself making simple mistakes. I mean, I could have easily I could have basically eliminated 95% of my injuries if I had the experience that I've basically had now through simple things like suspensions, or we've all been through the fuel tap thing.
What was that about, the 45-1, 60-1 ratio?
Yeah.
Two-stroke mix.
Yeah,
This is just this weekend.
yeah, let's tell the listeners about this. Not listening to the manual. I mean, sometimes you just have to read the fucking manual.
So anyone who's listening, what we are speaking about is the two-stroke to fuel mix ratio that you've been using on your bike. Another technicality is you live in George, and that is on the coast. And here in Pretoria, where we are currently, it's a lot higher. The altitude is totally different. So the bike performs totally different. So you need a lot of settings. Maybe give us some insight into that technicality.
Yeah, so to be totally honest, this is my first real experience in a carburetor setting being that sensitive. So like I'm on the Gas 250 MC, which is a 23 model, or 22 model, sorry. And it's no fuel injection, it's still an old standard carburetor setup. So altitudes make a big difference in your jetting. I mean, you've got a main jet, pilot jet with your needle. I realise now spark plugs and fuel mix, just we'll get there now. It's very big, plays a very big role. And I mean, from where I come from to where we rode this weekend is a 5,000 foot difference. So it's a very big altitude loss. And coming from there where you've got so much oxygen in the air, where to this altitude you've got so less oxygen, so your bike underperforms way less than we used to. And obviously that caused me to crash because I came short on one of the main gaps. And again, it was a little bit of inexperience that made me think I knew what I was doing and where I was going, and then I thought I'd compensate for it, but actually I couldn't, and I only realized that going onto the bigger gap, opening up as much throttle as I got, and the wider you open the throttle, the more fuel it used and the less fuel it got, and the less air it had, so there was not enough combustion, and the bike just went more and I didn't clear the gap.
Now let's just explain. You're hitting a steel ramp, I don't know at what speed, flat tap second gear, whatever that speed is, and then you're trying to clear a distance of 23, how many meters?
Yeah.
Plus minus 23, probably about 15 meters up in the air, and then trying to land on a dirt landing. And if you're a little bit short, you're against the landing, a little bit long, you're landing flat. So minor changes in your throttle, in your bike's performance, can have two devastating endings.
Yeah, so I think Steve can also tell us a bit more into detail on how this works, but for me it's a very effective section of freestyle. Is like from your run up to your landing, there's so many specific things that happens in milliseconds that you have to compensate for the whole time. Some people take longer run up, faster run up, so I adjusted my run up to come in a bit faster because I knew I didn't have all the power on the ramp, and that's what I was trying, and yeah, it didn't actually work out as a part of it. And we want to you need the power on the ramp, so sometimes you come in a little bit slower and open hard on the ramp to give you a little bit more pop out of it, to get a bit more height and gives you more time. And you want to bike up or front wheel down, it's literally so specific. And in shows like this, you're pretty limited on the landing, so we want to land a bit further down the landing, so you want to land front wheel down, and then you got, I don't know, that was probably like 15 meters to stop.
Yeah.
And then there's
it was probably 25, 30.
Oh,
it was a big distance.
Yeah, from the where the landing ended, where the dirt was.
On the top of the landing.
From the bottom of the landing.
Okay.
So the thing was like 30 meters, it's pretty long.
Yeah, because it was long enough, but then the dirt goes off to that one, so you have to super tight on your brakes. So all of those things play a role, and you have to think about it before you can.
Steve is basically telling you that's not a valid excuse. That one.
No, but it is. Actually, but it is. So this was something we found last year. There was less dirt, like you would have seen this year. There was quite a lot of dirt just on flat ground, and generally I'd say that was useless dirt, because it would be better if that was on the landing. Make the landing bigger, taller, steeper, make it nicer to land on. But what we found last year, because there's like just little rocks in that dirt, and as the guys were landing last year, they were dragging all those little rocks onto the bricks, and it's like riding on marbles.
Yeah.
So then this year, Duran, he just put the dirt out there. Nobody asked him to do it. He just did it, and
Covered the whole area.
yeah, like half of that
Okay.
that braking distance. He did it, and at first I was thinking, mate, just use all that dirt, make the landing bigger. And then I thought about it for a second, like, actually, that is brilliant. If you can keep trying to brake on the dirt before you get onto the bricks or the pavers with all the little rocks turning into marbles. Last year, man, they were just sliding into the fence. They could not stop. So this year was a bit better, but yeah, when those rocks got on there, it wouldn't have been easy. So I'm glad I was talking. Like I was just talking about it and watching, so yeah.
And probably from a commentator's perspective, what is it that you want to see? Do you want to see people doing terrifying things, or maybe having close calls, or what is it? What do you think the crowd wants to see?
Well, that is a big question, because unfortunately, when I was riding and my wife was in the crowd, she would hear the comments of, this is not great, but she heard it. She's like, I hope he crashes. And she's like, that's my husband. It's almost sometimes maybe people come and think it's like a movie and you're just watching it.
This
The
is
guy's
not a real person.
it's not real. It's like, well, when he's in hospital, you go home and he's off the bike for the next 6 months or whatever it might be. And that was something that took a little bit to get used to. But then I thought, well, when I was a kid and you go to the speedway and you're watching the guys in sprint cars or whatever, and you see the tums, yeah. Well, I was there too. As a 6-year-old kid watching speedway and tumble, you see the guy get out of the car and, hey, and everybody cheers. So there is a tiny bit of bloodlust there that you don't want to admit to, but it is there. I personally don't. I don't want to see it because I've been there. I've done it, and I don't want to see my mates go down. And I don't think anybody really wants to see that. So no, I don't like it. If it does happen, it does happen, and then I would much prefer if like a medical team can get there and we try and block it off so nobody sees what goes on, because you don't know what's happening. So that part of it I don't really like thinking of, and I don't want it to happen. Nobody wants it to happen, but it can. The thrill of it, of course, is the big tricks, the big whips, the stories in the middle. So like before I got here this year, or just as I landed, they're like, Dalton Venter and Stav Orland have got like a bit of a rivalry, and they kind of said they didn't care if they won the actual competition, they just want to beat each other. So I was feeding off that with the story of them, and I'm watching them in the competition. I'd say it to the crowd, and then you could hear the crowd getting behind either one of those guys. Blake, I forgot his last name now. What's his last name? Oh, bloody hell. Anyway, Blake from Jaded Inc. So I'll throw out his business name then. So he said to me, he's like, I haven't ridden in 7 years, and I've just got on like 4 months ago. And so I said that to the crowd, and I could hear the crowd get behind him more. They're like, okay, this dude's...
The underdog.
Yeah, the underdog. Let's go for the underdog. Let's see what he can do. Mark Pignol, he was one of the international guys. He rides in the World Championship, so I work with him a lot. And Julian and Edgar, of course. So I know what these guys can do. But the ramp setup was just a little bit different to what they're used to. And every single ramp is built differently. And so every time you jump, you're like, okay, I have to adjust a little bit for it. The wind was coming in. The ramp just wasn't the same. And he's like, you could tell he was a bit nervous. And I genuinely got goosebumps because he rolled in for the best trick competition. And I already kind of pumped it up a bit earlier on in the day. I said, oh, look, here's Mark Pignol. He's in the best whip comp, and you'll see him here. He's doing all the whips. We've got this competition coming on later. It's best trick, upright, no backflips. But I'm like, this guy's got something special. It's a little bit different. I don't know if he's going to do it today, but he may just give me a sign. And if I know I get the sign, I'm going to tell you guys. So then keep your eyes peeled. Well, he rolled in, and it was quite a little bit dark there from the backstage, and I'm a bit blind these days. Oh, I can't really see what he's doing. And he rolled in very slowly, and he got close to the ramp, and he just stopped. Like, oh, and then he just like looked up at the crowd, and he's like, "Come on, give me some love." And look, I'm getting goosebumps now. And as soon as when he did that, I'm like, "Oh crap, he's going for it." Like, I was genuinely worried because I've seen him hit the ground. On that same trick, he came to Night of the Jumps in Berlin this year. We just got our brand new big airbags. First time we had airbag landings in major competitions. And he went for that trick. And the front dropped on him. Huge crash. If it was on dirt, he would have been broken. Something would have broken. So this time, now it's dirt. And I know he wasn't overly confident in the ramp. I know the wind's picking up. Everything's not really working out for him to do this dumb trick. And then he just rolled back around, came in on the run up, did the trick perfect. Crowd exploded. Like, so it's these little things, if you can express that, because 99% of that crowd has never jumped probably more than 10 meters if they even have jumped on a motorbike.
But they don't know the extent of the difficulty.
Yeah, so my job is to educate the crowd as the event's going on. Why is this trick harder? Why was that whip bigger? What am I looking for? What are the judges looking for? And of course, when something happens, you get immediate results from the crowd. They'll scream and cheer. So maybe it wasn't the biggest, but it looked the best to them. So as the commentator, I listen to them, I feed off of them, I try and give them the information that they feed off of what I'm feeling, and it kind of goes like that. So
of course, you're well experienced with the sport. You used to be a rider.
Yeah.
That probably helps a lot. Eh?
Yeah, so I can explain what the guys are even feeling coming into the ramp. Like what you were saying before, like on the run-up. I'm watching. So the motocross races, they're flying in second, third gear. Like they're hitting that ramp, or that their in-run speed is so much faster than we would do in freestyle. Like you watch Julian, Edgar, Mark. They come in second gear, putting along. Bop, 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 bop. On the ramp, ha, and send everything. Like there's guys on 250F. They're and then they shut off on the ramp. Like when I see somebody coming in that fast on the ramp, oh my god, they're going to land in my hotel room 150 meters away. Like this is going to be gnarly, and then they shut off. But then you get two completely different whips out of that. It looks more dangerous on the run up. It changes what the bike does in the air. You see the other guys coming in, you think they're not even going to jump, and then they do the biggest whips in the world. So. Yeah, so I love seeing that. I love seeing the variety of everybody. That's what I said at the start. There's so much talent here in South Africa. But it is definitely coming more from that motocross background. I just love watching. I'm like, these guys are sending it. Yeah, it was sick.
Tell me about the business behind this. What role do you think the big brands, I mean, like Red Bull is one of the biggest, and they've been pushing these extreme sports and making it possible for guys to have this as a career and to really build a career out of this. We're going to get to Rudolf Pretorius with his business because he's busy launching that because he can make this connection out of the two things happening. What do you think is the role that these guys play in developing the sport?
That's a very tough question, and in 2023, it's becoming an even tougher question. So, if you were to ask me that in 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever, I'd say it is absolutely fantastic The Red Bulls, the Monsters, those kind of companies, they helped everyone to develop to where we are. Unfortunately, in this day and age, while social media was one of the best things for us to show our fans what we can do, it's also made things so much more difficult because now you can see tricks being done at home as it happens. You've now seen it 4 million. You can see Josh Sheehan doing a triple flip. They did a Travis Pastrana's in 2015. It's been seen millions of times. So the hard part is when the fans see that, well, they need to come to the show anymore. Does it lose that emphasis that it would have had? Like when you could only get one crusty video once per year and you're like salivating, waiting, oh, when does the next video drop? Oh my God. And you pay your $25, $30 or whatever it was, whatever currency we're going to talk here in rands, I don't know what that would be, but so that was a very different economy back then. It was a very different business back then. Now social media is leading the charge, and you know what? There's the guys who understand it, and they can build a career out of it, and then there's the events. There's so much more that goes into it these days. It's a very difficult question to answer because everybody, we freestyle motocross is such a niche. Now every niche is able to be seen on Facebook or TikTok or YouTube or Twitch or, like I love playing video games. Gaming is bigger than pretty much, I think, NBA and baseball and everything combined. Like esports is massive. So if you think about that, that's the direction of a lot of our fans in action sports have maybe gone there. So maybe so I was a kid. I did love playing my Super Nintendo, my Nintendo 64, but action sports caught my attention the most. Well, now if you're a kid, it's a lot easier. Well, actually, there's a pathway to just play Call of Duty or whatever it might be. So I would say it's very difficult. I can't really give you an answer because.
Would you think it has in the macro? Do you think it has had a positive or negative effect on the totality of the sport?
The input is absolutely positive. So for riders to earn a living, sponsorships is like
that's all you have actually.
Yeah, so there's a lot of
prize
events.
money.
Yeah, prize money. The funny thing now is it's more like doing shows, and this is kind of the thing I've realized in the last few years. We're talking about crashes on dirt. My crash was on a piece of steel and timber. It was a mobile landing. It was built on a truck. If I had that crash on an airbag landing, I'd still be. What was that? What was that? That was a huge. I don't know. It looked like an ant, but it was the size of a bee. Bloody hell! You got some animals down here.
You probably brought that with you.
It didn't come with me.
That looks like an Aussie bug to me.
No, I've not seen that one. That looked dangerous. I'm sorry, Rudolf. I just flicked it straight over him. Yeah, it's like, thanks, mate.
Yeah. You can deal with some adversary.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. So I think actually right now is nearly the best time that riders can take more control of their own career. So if I look back over my 20 years, a lot of the time if somebody asked me to do a show, I didn't have the infrastructure to make my own show. I could have bought a truck, I could have made it into a landing, and then all of the expenses and everything that goes along with that. And while I had the brain power and I probably could have found the means to do it, I went, no, that's too difficult. If somebody else has got a setup, let them do it. Hey Rudolf, I've got a show in Pretoria, can you bring your setup and I just want to ride? Well now, with airbags being relatively affordable, 100 times safer than crashing on dirt, and you can fold these things up into the size of like a pallet. You can put it on a pallet, stick it in the back of the van, have your ramp, got your motorbike, go off to a show, job done. So now I would say the riders have the ability to take more control, take on shows that may never have even happened. If you bring in, the middleman, the third person, the next guy who needs to bring the setup, your costs start blowing out.
Yeah.
Rudolf can now run his own setup for 1/10 of the price, and he's still happy with the money he's going to make, but he doesn't have to bring in so many other people to do the job. Okay, cool. Well, then he can do it, and he can do it, and he can do it. So then everybody
makes it more affordable so that they can happen, more shows can happen.
More shows can happen.
More exposure.
More exposure and less risk. Far less risk. So the reward is there with far less risk. Man, if I could turn back time, or if I was 18 right now,
Endless opportunity.
Yeah. So while I say on one side things have definitely gone down in one way, it has exploded in another way, and that's just the nature of everything.
Yep.
The world is constantly changing, and if you don't change with it, you'll get stuck and you'll get left behind. And if you see some opportunities, man, go for it. It's like you're not taking mine, sort of thing. Like, I love doing what I'm doing, and I always say, like, a rising tide lifts all ships.
Yes.
So I think it's great that all these, at the moment, there's a lot of shows starting to pop up here and there. Fantastic.
It's good for the sport
It's
overall.
good for everybody. Yeah, so it is a balancing act. Like, how much do you put out on social media? I probably would have said 5 years ago, I'm only going to show little bits. Well, I'd say times have changed. I think I have also changed my opinion of that. And okay, well, actually, what I'm building now, or what we're all building, is you're building a fan base. You're telling a story, and then it's just up to you personally how much of your story you want to tell.
Of course. Rudolf, I want to speak a little bit about freestyle productions as well as fearless energy.
Yeah, so freestyle productions was just like a division of fearless energy to create an environment again, as Steve said now, to start an environment of building a fan base, doing shows so that we can get the involvement into the sport. Started with fearless energy. So fearless in total is actually started as a clothing, it's apparel. We started in 2016. Everyone saw it. Used to be fearless in out, and obviously because of the no fear trademarks and things, we were blocked, and it became FRLS. And
I think it's
I want to know about this. Can we find out about this, or is there too many legal hoops?
No, because
that interests me.
Yeah, in fact, we didn't actually think about going to where we are today. Obviously, that wasn't it was the idea, it was the dream, and then the involvement was so quick. So we started Fearless to simply put a platform out there for riders to get associated with some type of branding that can give them the opportunity to go out and look for sponsorship or just feel part of something. Because I know, like, where I come from in the motocross industry, it was so hard riding because I had to work and get money to just go race. It was so expensive to prep your bike to be competitive. It was so hard, and it's not like you go to a bike shop and say, hey, can you sponsor me? And they're like, here you go. So we thought, okay, let's create an environment for athletes in South Africa to come to our platform. We brand them and we put them on our website, and they can get that exposure. Put them on our social media. So the social media thing is to give them the exposure so they can take that exposure to people for sponsorship or associations or help. So that was the plan. And then shortly after we started that or released it, we received a couple of emails, and it was like using our name. And I'm like, okay, now let's get serious. And luckily Edwin thought out the box. He was like, straightforward, let's make it before LWS, and he patented it. And
let's just spell it wrong.
yeah, exactly.
I want to know how that feeling felt when you got the email.
Yeah, that was quite scary though. It was like a lawyer's letter, and it was like, I thought, okay, well, there goes the dream. And well, actually Edwin phoned me and said, hey, we're in trouble. I was like, okay, now how are we going to solve this? And then he sent me the logo and he says, let's patent this. And I was like, wow, that actually looks freaking good. I like that. It's better than it was. And then we like went like a little bit off the radar so that no one else, because obviously they can appeal to the logo. And yeah, like we left it for like a year in silence. That was a year after we started. And we left it a little bit, and yeah, then when we caught it out, we were like, okay, here we go. And it was tough. It's like everyone thinks apparel is going to make money. I think it's still just costing us money, but we went into like
branding.
We just said we're not going to give up. We're just going to stay constant and let it roll. And then like 2 years ago, the day actually before Leroux's accident was the day I said, oh, we're going to make energy drink. I remember still talking about it and how the market works. And I said, well, we want to try this because we want to get something that we can use to build funding to associate the sport. And that's where we've gone into it. But also we want to build something that is more athlete orientated. So I want an athlete to be able to drink it and to use it to his advantage legally. And that's where we came to what we made. It took us 2 years to get to the recipe, which you also own now. And we added the Fearless energy. So that's why Fearless is only like status zero, Fearless clothing and Fearless energy. And the whole thing is to build this vibe amongst extreme sports to create opportunity for another thing. And I'll associate it with, I don't know how to say it, with like Red Bull. They had something and they associated their brand with top sports and top athletes to get a name out there. So in the one part, it's business, but I also want to say it's for us more a lifestyle that we like, that we're trying to improve the same for other people, to use that to improve the sports and all different sports and extreme sports or action sports is our main target field. And we want to take it widely. I know it's smaller than all the other things that are, like you said, gaming and stuff has been explosive, but still we're leaving behind a big part of what is nice entertainment and what is, and I feel like riding my dirt bike has changed my life mentally because it's taught me to never give up. It's taught me so many things of making a way or finding a way to do something and to get there just to not give up. And I think through creating Fearless is like a leg of opening up those opportunities to other athletes and other persons out there or other people out there. And we want to try to send that message to say, hey, this party here is, we want to build it and sell it with the knowing that it's more than just a drink. It's not just a drink. It's something that should be safe, and you should be able to drink 10 of them and be still fine. So health-wise, we took it in consideration. And then secondly, we want to send the word out of our association of Fearless and saying, why did we get it? How did we get it? It was flipping hard work even, and we still got a lot of work left. But the fact that what I've learned out of riding and struggling myself, I think it can be a big opportunity for someone else, or for other people out there.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is a really cool brand, and I've associated with the brand as well. And do you think it's also just trying to associate a brand with a lifestyle? It's a lifestyle brand, this, right?
Definitely. Our main targets, everything was long term. We've got athletes like Jock Hima. He was there from the start. He's probably one of our most loyal fans. And he knows what struggle it is, and he's still stuck to it. He's never ever, you'll always see him in like Fearless shirt and things. And although we want to try to give the Oak so much more, it's really difficult on the money side or the financial side of it. But it's Oaks like that really keeps this whole thing alive. To think like the association brand, it's definitely something we want to put out there as a lifestyle. It should be something part of it. The people we're trying to associate ourselves with, or the companies or brands, it's all in the mindset of long term. We built a vision board where we said, like Kevin is a big part of our marketing and branding side of it. And we made like a vision board, so like, listen, how will an F1 car look with a Fearless logo on? And he's like editing it in there, and like, that's how it will look. We had this big building, like an office of, this is how it will look. And that vision is what we want to try and put out there is, if we can get this out there, we can get this amount of, it's got my marketing money or these funds, and these funds is going to go for rally cars and Dakar and all of those things. So that's a dream. And a lot of the people we've been associated with that came like, hey, we've heard of this, we've seen this. Come to the point, and Kieran Fitzgerald is going to Dakar now, and he was like, we got him on board, and for us it's a very big thing. And we want that association so that we can say, okay, it helps us to build the brand, so we have to build the brand before we can really do the marketing. And then the awareness is there, and when we get that, we will be able to help athletes like this to go fix or to go pursue their dreams. And I think that's one of the big things we want to pursue or help pursue other people to pursue their dreams. If it makes sense.
I love the concept, and thanks for taking the leap of faith to try and build something like this, because it really does take a lot, and not only money but time and effort and failing and a lot of things, and so thank you for pursuing difficulty. Steve, any lasting thoughts? Something you want to speak about?
I'd probably say what you just said then, thanks for putting the effort in. It's not the money. The money is almost irrelevant. It's the time. Setting this up for a podcast. I know that. I've got mine. And the time I'm still learning almost the basics, but man, everything takes so much time that I can't put a dollar value on what I'm doing because it's all for zero. Well, actually, I get free beer, so that's okay. I'll take that. But it's the reason I do what I do is I try and put information out there. I give it away for free. I tell everybody whatever I've got in my head, that information is freely available. You can find it. You can find it yourself. But if you come and ask me, I'll tell you what to do, and you try and make it happen. Or if you've got fearless energy, but the energy is only going to be a small part of what your overall concept is. The energy is almost irrelevant. That's just like a little part that feeds the monster. No, not the monster. It feeds whatever you're going to make. We're not going to talk about those guys. No, but they did a fantastic job this weekend at King of the Whip. Thank you very much, Monster. But it's feeding the project. It's feeding what you're trying to do.
The vision and mission.
Exactly, and I'd like to think a lot of people go into these things for the right reasons, and when you see it, you're like, awesome. Thank you so much for guys who actually put the effort in, not just the money, but that time and energy. Like I said, Fox Racing, to them it was probably peanuts what they gave me, but mentally it changed my entire approach.
It was everything to you.
Yeah, it was absolutely everything. I remember every single sponsor I've had, whether it was a couple of free uni filters for my bike, if it was, I think I got my first bike from Greg Old Motorcycles in Maryborough in Australia for $500 less. Whatever it was, I remember every single time, because those little things just make such a big difference. So if you can help the next group, if this podcast helps the next person, just to think, you never know what the smallest piece of information, a little bit of help, come ride my place, whatever it is, it could change someone's whole direction of where they go. So it is tough. I'm in the middle of doing that myself. I know it's tough, so man, keep it up.
Well, it won't be easy, but it will be worthwhile.
Yeah, that's it, and you gotta have fun doing it. That's there'll be parts where you're like, this is not fun anymore. I've been there a few times too, I'm pretty ready to give up soon. But you go to bed and you wake up the next day and get tired. You know why you started, everything that I've done, I'm not a sprinter, I'm a marathon runner. I look way down the road to where I'd like to see things go, and if I can, I'll get there one day. I'll get there. We're not there yet, but we'll get there. And all these cool things just happen in the middle, and just take it as it comes. Here I am sitting in Pretoria. I'm just chilling in South Africa. I got a warning this morning on my phone. It's snowing at home in Germany. I think I might change my flight. I think I might stay here a bit longer. Just that sort of thing. Just to appreciate that I'm just sitting here in South Africa where it's warm. this is awesome.
Appreciating the journey.
Yeah.
Just life.
Yeah, and like I said, I went to Germany. Well, I went to Europe for 2 months. In March next year will be 10 years. Like, that was not on my vision board. I didn't have a vision board, but it definitely wasn't on there. Like, if you asked me that, no way in the world would I be doing that. And I think if you just say yes to a lot of opportunities, I'm sure, like you said about no fear and you get the letter, it would have scared the crap out of me. That's why I asked. I don't know what I would have done. I would have had a lot of beads of sweat. And your mate just came up with a new logo, and then you just laid low a little bit and come back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you got to do. Just keep moving on.
Well, with a name like Fearless, it's in the name.
It's in the name a little bit. Yeah, go for it. That's your motto, man. You got to send that.
Yeah, we got to show it now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Guys, I really appreciated this chat. I'm sure we can go on for hours. And we'll probably go on for another hour, but I really do appreciate the time, and it was a pleasure speaking to both of you and getting your insights into extreme sport and what's happening.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us. Let's keep this recording because I know what's going to happen, and we're going to have the best stuff after this. You might get like some behind the scenes.
No, thanks Leroux. It's really a privilege to be here with you. Long-time friend, mate of mine, and finally got to do it with the company of Steve. Steve, to you I want to say thank you very much. I think the whole SA crew can agree with me to say it's legendary to having you guys out here. To the whole King of the Whip crew, Ryan, LW Mag, the whole team that set it up, doing the efforts, getting guys like you with your expertise out here. It's amazing for us, and us as developing riders and things, it really means a lot. I mean, you're on the other side of the world and you're always there to help and assist and make the time and effort to read a message or send a voice note. You help me a lot and I really appreciate it. So no, thank you from our side, and it's been a privilege being here.
Yeah, it happened where I was it was just messages coming through, I'm like, no, I'm just going to let those sit, because most of them, the problems would have sorted themselves.
Yeah.
And that was where I was finding myself getting in a bit of trouble, like the last 5 years. I was just, especially during COVID, so I work in the World Championships, and all the events came to a standstill. We had nothing, and we've got a whole bunch of crew who are now without a job. I'm without a job. Everyone's without a job, and so I was like, what can we do? And speaking of the esports, so a mate of mine in Australia made a video game called TIMX for your phone. I'm like, why don't we just get all the best riders in the world to play it, send me their videos. So I made a studio in my house with all the Night of the Jumps logos and sponsor logos and everything in the background. So I commentated it like it was, like we're at the real thing.
Like
Josh Sheen. Yeah, I'm like, oh, here's Josh Sheen with it was like triple backflip tsunami, heel clicker, whatever, because he's playing a video game. So I was commentating because they did it. And it was all a bit of fun. That did bring in some sponsorship money. Like, that actually kept a little bit going. But, I kind of realised, like, a lot of the messages were messages that could have sorted themselves out. And I had far too many of them. And, I kind of hit burnout this year. And I did get back to you. I was a bit late, but I did get back to you.
Social media can burn you out. Yes, like. But coming back to that esports thing, as you said, I've seen a lot of videos people send me, but then I can see, listen, something's not right on this video. Then it's like a bike doing the Isle of Man, and the bike is jumping like 50 meters. And I just see something is off here.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks, this is real life, but it's just the graphic that is so amazing.
Yeah, there's like that one, I don't know if you've seen it. It's like some dude comes over a motocross jump and he's like on the front wheel, bobbles a bit and saves it. So many people share it, like it's real, like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, I need glasses for long distance, but maybe a lot of you people need glasses for short distance, because that's not real.
Yeah, but also
like, what are you doing?
Like the MotoGP guys,
yeah.
I see, and like they do insane recoveries, and that with physics it doesn't allow those type of things, and people believe it. They think, just like when you see that.
Yeah, but that's kind of cool. Like I love it. I love that they can
Gullibility.
Well, that too sometimes, but I love that they can have a race team of
of
esport players. Like, yeah, like actually,
Yeah, and like for disabled guys. I mean, I can race
Yeah.
esports motorbikes.
Yep. Exactly. Whole new. This was not possible 10 years ago.
Virtual world, yeah.
It was not possible. Man, have you tried VR? Tried it once. Like I was
It's
very,
insane.
I was very, very into tech when I was younger. I was going to go into IT. It was one of my main sponsors, Lakes Networking from Australia. As 12, 13-year-old, I was helping him install, computers, and he made his own software, and I was working on that with him, and I was going to leave high school, go into IT, and he's like, no, because I finished in 2001, so Y2K had just happened. And he's like, there's so many IT guys out there who have got nothing to do anymore because we fixed Y2K before it kind of happened. So don't bother. That was probably the one point, like, he's been really good. He's helped me with like the real world stuff outside of freestyle. That was probably the one point he did get wrong, that I should have still gone down IT road. Like there will always be work in IT. But when I didn't go into it, then I kind of faded out, and I stopped playing video games. I stopped being into IT a bit. I've got this Polish neighbour who's directly across the road there in Germany. He's like, oh, come over. He's got his screen printing, and not this shirt. This is a different shirt. This is like an online thing. But
This is the technical drawings for
the
King of the Whip ramp.
Oh well, not that one, but hopefully next year. This is the next gen ramp. This is a bit bigger. This is something a bit wild, this ramp. And but yeah, exactly. You're thinking the right way. So this guy, he's got all the stuff. He's like, oh, why don't we make some merch for your podcast? And all right. And then I thought about it. Like, yeah, actually, why don't I do it with you, so I understand what printing a shirt's like. I will pay him next time as much money as he needs to get. That was a lot of work. Like to do the design, do the print, do the reverse, then the screen print, then physically doing it, and then the drawing. And like, bloody hell! And I didn't even get the thing straight. So I did a whole bunch of shirts myself. So they're very what would you call unique? There's I don't know. Very unique. There's 15 of them that were pretty But anyway, he's like, oh, come upstairs. Because I don't know what he had. It was one of the VR headsets. I put it on, and I'm there with the thing, and he's like, okay, you got to make your square, and like, I was thinking, I wonder what I'd look like to him watching me with the goggles on, but when I got into it, I'm like, oh my god, this is so the future. And I don't know who listens to this podcast. If you're like a normal person who likes to go ride motorbikes, and I say this, and you're like, it's not the future. Man, this is the future.
Yep.
And all I could think of is if you lived in the middle of New York City, or if you're in the middle of Beijing, or whatever, wherever you are in the world, and you don't have access to get out of your town, or god damn. So I was playing these video games inside, like shooting stuff, because that was just like just to get used to the controls. And then he goes, where do you want to go? I'm like, what do you mean, where do I want to go? He goes, well, do you want to go, funnily enough, he goes, do you want to go to South Africa? Okay. He goes, let's go look at some elephants. So he goes, just click this. And it was this whole thing, like I'm sitting
In a game.
I'm sitting in the front of a little tiny wooden boat on a little tiny creek, and you're looking around and you're going past, like there's the guy on the back with his little motor, and like I'm looking at him, and he's like kind of looking past to see where he's going, and then my mate said, oh, just turn your head. And I turned my head around, there's this elephant walking, like we're right beside it. And I took the goggles off, and I mean you could tell the pixels on this one, so it's a bit of an older generation, but I'm like, holy crap.
This is going to change.
When they get the quality better, and I'm sure they probably already got there, I think the new Meta Quest,
The Apple one has launched, and it doesn't use any remote or anything like that. It has haptic feedback, so you literally can have like a computer screen and touching things, and it's virtual and AR.
That's the one that's like 2,500 American or something. But like,
I think it's like 80,000 rand.
Yeah, so
but that is going to be insane.
Yeah, like and the one that I was playing on was like the cheap one, And I took it off. I'm like, holy crap! I walked back over to our place, and Rachel's like, "Gee, you were over there for a long time." I'm like,
I've been to South Africa.
yeah, I went to South Africa. I wasn't here. I wasn't in Germany. I was in South Africa. And I'm like, man, this is going to be wild. And again, that's like, if you're open to that, there's a lot of opportunity there. And half of me's going, this is not good. And the other half's like, this is amazing. It's so cool.
I've heard about like live events where they say, like next to the field of the NFL, there's only so many front row seats.
Yeah.
But with that, there's endless amounts.
Absolutely.
You can literally have a front row seat, and millions of people can have a front row seat.
That's where, yeah, like again, you come back to, we work in live events. How are live events going to look in 5 years' time, 2 years' time? Probably a little bit longer. Like it's going to take a lot of time for adoption and
and for
working
the
out
average
kinks.
bloke to have one of them and incorporate.
Well, see, now that's the
it,
issue.
you know,
Like
getting it cheaper.
getting it cheaper and making it not feel so awkward to put them on. That's their issue.
And
I
the
think.
battery life, the whole development of the
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. So those kind of things, I'm interested to see where it goes. It'll take a little bit of time, but we'll get there. But when you have like big change, it doesn't happen. Sometimes it doesn't happen over 10 years. It can happen in 6 months. So you never know. It is a long time coming. The talk has been around forever about all of this, but it feels like we're almost on the cusp. We're so close. And once it actually becomes easy for people to get into it and acceptable, hard part is the acceptance. Once we get to the acceptance, far out.
I can tell you what's going to happen because Apple is launching those, I think they call it Vision X or something like that. They're going to launch those goggles. Then there's a lot of creators and developers going to be developing apps because that's there.
Yeah, because
and then because there's a lot of apps, other hardware manufacturers will create more goggles because now there's more apps, and that is like just a whole cycle.
It's
growing the whole thing.
Yeah, it's exactly, and it will take away from. So those guys will probably be making apps now for Android and Apple, and doing whatever they're doing for the phone. Well, they're going to disappear from the phone pretty soon. They're just going to be focusing on VR. So that's where it'll come into that, and like I'd love to know. Like I do, I got some insight, but I'm not going to say it here. But I do know some guys working on motorbike things. It's going to be wild. Like you may be able to watch. I don't even know how you could do it, but to do an event where you could be on board. Imagine if you're on board and you're with the rider as they do the tricks, and you're
at the back.
Like I don't see that as being an issue. Like that to me seems very.
It's only going to be cameras on the helmet.
Yeah, it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
Like it's just going to be. Is the technology quick enough to get the feed from there to the technical